Hello and welcome to the first of our Spring 2017 Graduate Information webinar series. My name is Jamie Nisbet and I'm Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment for Studio Arts College International, SACI in Florence, Italy. To give a little background about, my name is Jamie Nisbet and I'm Assistant Director. Excuse me for a second. To give a little background on me, I am a SACI alumni. I studied at SACI as an undergraduate during a fall semester program, and then I returned to Florence and worked for a year as a teaching assistant in the media arts department. So I worked with students in all of SACI's programs and have a lot of experience living in Florence, and am really excited to share more information about the creative community at SACI. To give a little housekeeping, I just want to mention that if you're joining us, the best way to watch is on a desktop or laptop computer, or if you have the mobile app on your mobile device, because then you can fully participate in the session with the chat feature. So everyone's welcome to contribute questions throughout the session. During my presentation that I'm going to give in just a minute, feel free to toss your questions into the chat, and at the end I'll answer them. Some other things that I want to mention upcoming. So this is the first of our spring webinar series, but we'll have at least two that are on the schedule now, one in February, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a panel of current graduate students live in Florence. That's going to be in the morning in February. And then in March, before our application deadline, I'll be speaking and sharing information about completing the application process and answering all of your final application questions before the deadline. So those are some online events that I think are really helpful and exciting. And then we have some events for those that reside in the US that you can join us in person. We might be coming to a town near you. We'll be doing some receptions, some starting this week, one in Chicago this week on Thursday, and throughout the next few months in places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Miami, and then the SACI New York admissions office will be having information sessions that students can come into our offices and join in for. So I'd encourage you to check out where we're traveling, what opportunities there are to meet with us and learn about our programs. You can do that by going onto the SACI website and checking out our calendar, which is in the admissions section of our website. And then you're also welcome to just email us. We can send you a link. So you can email us at admissions@saci-florence.edu. So those are just some things that are upcoming I wanted to share with everyone before I get started on my presentation. So let me share my screen and we can get right into really an overview of the different programs, and then I'll take your questions. So, okay, so share my screen here. So today's session, I'm going to be focusing, as mentioned before, on SACI's graduate programs, and that includes a wide variety of programs that span different years and focuses. One program that's of particular interest is our new summer low-residency MFA in studio art. That's a 3-year program, 3 summers, and then our 2-year MFA programs, an MA in art history, post-baccalaureate years in studio art and conservation. We also offer undergraduate study abroad programs, but as mentioned, I'm going to be focusing in on our graduate programs. We do have a webinar series for those interested in undergraduate studies, and those can also be found with our other events in the admissions section of the SACI website. To really get us started, I always like to show a picture of the skyline of Florence. Florence is a city that has drawn artists and creative thinkers for centuries. It's the birthplace of the Renaissance. Probably the most important piece of artwork that is recognized of Florence is Michelangelo's David. However, that really scratches the surface of the art, including contemporary art and creative people that are there now, and SACI students are very much a part of that. To give you a sense of where we're located, we have two palazzi, palaces in the center of Florence. So students are really right in the heart of the city. So you see the cathedral, which is one of the main features of the skyline that's in the left of this image. We're really centered right around that area, both buildings. So you're really right in the midst of it all, which is a really, I think, special place for our students to spend their time in these programs. Our first palazzo that I'm going to share information about is Palazzo dei Cartellone. It's an amazing historic Renaissance palazzo that was built by one of Galileo's students in his honor. So you can see the bust above the doorway is depicting Galileo with scrolls on either side that describe his works. Mona Lisa's family is thought to have lived in this palazzo, and I would say this was our this was considered our main hub until we added on our other palazzo, and this houses all of our administrative offices, but also studio space for painting, drawing, sculpture, ceramics, has a beautiful garden space, conservation labs are here, an amazing library space with an excellent collection of art history books, resources that are both in print and digital, art books. Just a very large collection of especially English language books, beautiful details in ceilings, and it's just a really nice library to work in, especially for those students in the MA in Art History program. This building also has a wonderful gallery space. And it's right, as I mentioned, in the center of Florence. So, you're really, not on an isolated campus. You're walking the streets of Florence around people that are going to school and going to work, and you're really spending your time in the heart of the city. The other palazzo that's part of really our campus, which is really Florence, is the Jules Madoff Palazzo for the Visual Arts. It's named for our founder, Jules Madoff, who founded the school in 1975. He really wanted to create an art school that he dreamed to go to in Florence. And it's a really wonderful building. It's somewhat considered, while it doesn't house all of our graduate programs, it houses all the graduate studios and is a big hub for those students that are in any of those studio-focused programs. And the graduate studio spaces are here. Really beautiful, light, open studio spaces. Any computer-based class that students take is here. So anything in digital photography, design, digital multimedia, but just a wonderful building that also has a gallery space. I always like to draw attention to this image. I mentioned that the building was founded by, this school was founded by Jules Madoff, and the building is named for him. And this is from one of the early exhibitions, which is of Jules's work. He's a really amazing painter with an excellent practice. So I would encourage you to look up his work. It's really beautiful. This has graduate dark rooms, photography lighting studio. This is a fresco studio that has the beautiful wall for doing true fresco, and so a great space for students that are interested in delving into that class and work. It also has a wonderful garden space. So our buildings are really wonderful spaces for students to be working. But as I mentioned, the feature is really that students are right in the heart of Florence. Students also live in the heart of Florence. We offer housing opportunities for students. They're typically 2 to 3 bedrooms. The standard is 2 students to a room, but you can request a single room. I like to show this image of SACI housing because you can see right outside the window is the main Cathedral of Florence that you saw on that skyline. So they're really all over the historic center. There's not one building that's just SACI apartments, and they're fully equipped with furniture and everything you need, like pots, pans, dishes, They supply linens, like blankets and sheets. The only thing we don't provide is towels, and graduate students have SACI housing available to them for the entirety of their programs, but it's not a requirement. But they're really amazing apartments, and so it's a good opportunity if you aren't interested in looking and securing your own independent housing. I think probably one of the other features I always like to bring up when I'm talking about housing is just really enjoying living in a culture, a different culture typically, since we have students that are coming from all over the world. You get to really create your habits in Florence. This image is from one of the first images tagged for us from one of our MFA and photo students, and it was first homemade brunch in Florence. You know, you're creating your habits, you're shopping in the market, you're kind of putting yourself into a different lifestyle all while you're there creating work, making art, studying art, writing, researching. So I think that that's also something to mention as a really fulfilling and special part of the experience. And some of those things that are what you expect when traveling to Italy are true, you know, wonderful gelato and beautiful views, and having that experience so connected with your experience of making art and researching is, I think, a very special one. And Florence and Italy and the graduate programs give students a lot of opportunity for on-site experience, going to contemporary exhibitions, getting to go to places like the Venice Biennale, listening to special lectures, attending special workshops that really give you an opportunity to connect with a community of artists and creative people and thinkers that are in Florence right now. You get to experience all that history, but you also get to experience contemporary art through those on-site experiences. And then for us at SACI, we really try to promote and house you know, and be part of that discussion of creativity. So this fall, we hosted a symposium that was in partnership with NASA, where we were talking about the arts and sciences and design and how all of those things are interplaying. And so that was a really exciting symposium that we got to host. So we're really very much a part of that community and being part of that contemporary art scene in Florence and looking at relevant topics for artists today. So there's just lots of opportunities to go to the studio visits and see, go to the marble quarries in Carrara and visit studios for artisans that are creating commissioned pieces that go all over the world. So a really big variety of experience that you get to have when living in Florence. So this is from the Bologna Art Fiere. It's a giant art fair. Students get to experience that kind of gallery representation and the art market, and some programs go to other cities around Europe. This is our MFA and studio art students in London. And then, kind of thinking about some of those other community connections in Florence this is obviously the very iconic David, and these are SACI students in communication design and museology that have been working in partnership with the academia to help design the user experience in their museums. So thinking about museum studies and design and working directly with this very important institution is an opportunity unique for our students. And other contemporary art exhibitions like this fall, when our students worked with Ai Weiwei's exhibition at Palazzo Strozzi. They got to be a part of the political objects project that was part of the exhibition. And so, it's getting to experience things like the David, but also these really relevant contemporary events and exhibitions that are coming to Florence and then other parts of Italy. So now I'm going to delve right into the programs. To start with, I'm going to talk about the 2-year MFA programs. Those are 2-year full-time, so 2 academic years, 60 credit programs, 3 different degrees: communication design, photography, and studio art. The core of these 3 programs is really the graduate seminars for the different programs, and then students are working with the faculty to develop a program that's relevant to the work that you want to make, whether it be through directed independent studies, studio electives. There's lots of flexibility in the program to focus on the work that you want to make. So it could be in our design program focusing on things like infographics or graphic design or fashion design or illustration, web design. So you're really getting this opportunity to really kind of cross different areas within design itself. And in photography, that could be, working in making silver gelatin prints, or it could be working digitally, integrating video into your work. So there's lots of freedom and flexibility for those students to create work that is really part of this emerging culture of image making. And our faculty are really kind of a big key connector for that. And the same goes for the MFA and studio art program. It's a pretty contemporary program. Students are really creating work. The program's technical focus is painting and drawing, but students are making work that crosses a lot of those boundaries too, integrating video work and digital multimedia into their studio practice and making some really inventive things. This is a faculty piece from the program director who has these just really beautiful paintings. And students in these programs have lots of opportunity to share their work, have exhibitions. They go on field trips. This is from a trip to Berlin. This was a photo field trip. One of the things the photography faculty are doing is really trying to really plan out interesting trips that go to important photo exhibitions, but also opportunities to travel around Italy and photograph and see the country from a different perspective than kind of the touristic one that is kind of presents itself as kind of face value. So opportunities to go to places like Venice for the Venice Biennale. You mentioned this is from the final graduate MFA exhibition. This is from the MFA Studio Art exhibition, so really getting to show their work in a public way in Florence, and just some really amazing things that are coming out of these programs. And the next program I'm going to talk about is the Post-Baccalaureate Certificate in Conservation. This program is a 1-year, 30-credit program. The wonderful thing about this program is the hands-on experience that you get, and it's something that I really can't stress enough, is that you're working on real conservation interventions in Florence. And if you're looking for a career as a conservator, our students have a lot of success of going on to really amazing opportunities in conservation, getting to work on projects, getting to step into further graduate studies, being competitive when applying to those programs that are MA to PhD level. So most undergraduates don't have the opportunity to do hands-on conservation projects. So that's one great thing about this program. And getting a post-baccalaureate certificate is something that is recommended by conservation organizations, especially when you're looking for to get that edge on applying for positions and further graduate studies. So I'm just going to show you some images of students working on these projects and talk about them a little bit. This is an image from a chapel that our students restored over a period of 10 years. And the chapel was already in need of restoration, but had been damaged by a very famous flood in Florence in the 60s. And so they completely restored the chapel. So there's oftentimes larger scale projects, smaller things that we bring back to our studios, but you have this opportunity to really work on these real pieces. So these are some students working on the main project that's our kind of larger scale project, which is with Teatro La Pergola. It's the oldest theater and opera house in Italy, and our students are working on restoring frescoes, in these apartments where the performers historically lived, and this wooden model and some things that the museum, or not the museum, the theater wants to make public. So, so some really amazing kind of larger scale opportunity. And then just to give you a sense of the format of the program, in the first semester, there's a lot of group projects, the introductory classes that you're taking. And then in the second half, so the second semester of the program, students get their own individual projects. So that's a really nice thing too, is you kind of have this variety of things that you've worked on, and the faculty are working really closely with you to kind of determine what your goals are. So are you going to be working on mural or painting conservation? Are you looking at archaeological objects? What research and area are you looking to explore in conservation? And so you get a lot of that opportunity to kind of follow the path of your interests. And then our other post-baccalaureate program is in studio art, and the major disciplines of that program really determine the program of study. You have your cohort of other students that are across these disciplines as well, so drawing, painting, printmaking, sculpture, ceramics, photography, video, and digital multimedia. The focus of this program is really to create a body of work, and it's oftentimes that stepping stone, much like our PB in conservation, that stepping stone into either further studies or really trying to understand and delve into an area, a studio area, or change of career or focus in your work, so you have that body of work to kind of move forward with your career as an artist. Students get lots of travel opportunities to go to places like I mentioned before, like the Venice Biennale, the Bologna Art Fair, other places around Italy, and really spending time thinking about the issues and challenges that contemporary artists face, and our faculty are really kind of partnering with you in that. You have the core of the program, which is the graduate seminar, and then they're working with you to determine a program of study that really fits into the body of work that you're trying to create. And these last couple images were some faculty work that I think are really compelling. And so you can kind of see, the variety of work, the kind of thinking of students as they're kind of exploring these different studio areas that they may not have really had the experience to kind of delve into and create a solid body of work in. And then our MA in Art History program is an extended year program. So students enroll for 2 academic semesters and then 2 summer terms. So it's just a little bit over an academic year. And these major disciplines are just a short sample of the disciplines that I thought kind of showed the variety of the program. Students can write their thesis on a variety of topics, and there's opportunities to take coursework and focus in on a lot of different areas, but I thought these would be kind of the most kind of compelling as far as showing you the variety. So, and special topics like women in the arts in Italy, the history of photography, museology, contemporary art theory and criticism, things that are a natural fit for students looking to study in Italy, things like the Italian Renaissance, contemporary European and Italian art. And some of the main features of this program are the travel opportunities, getting to see so much of the work in person, spending time on site, getting to access all the amazing libraries and research resources in at SACI and in Florence. So I think those are some of the really special things, is getting, like I said, to really have all of those things, right there for you. Students also get the opportunity to take field trips to other European cities. This is an image from a trip students took to Amsterdam. But I think that's the special thing about this program, and other opportunities like getting to take Italian language. So if you're looking to enter a PhD program in the future and you want to be able to speak Italian for the research you want to do, it's you're in an Italian-speaking country, you can take courses, and then there's also courses like Italian for research. This is an image I paused on, but it's from the Alinari Museum, so it's a photography museum that's really right around the corner from Palazzo dei Cartellone. So they said lots of resources that really touch on a lot of the different areas that our MA and art history students want to explore. And then finally, the last program I'm going to share with you is the Summer Low Residency MFA in Studio Art. That's a brand new program that's just starting this summer. And the format of the program is 3 summers, so 12 weeks each summer, where you're in residence in Florence and earning your MFA with 60 credits. So, and this Studio Art MFA covers more disciplines than just painting and drawing. It includes things like printmaking, sculpture, ceramics, photography, video, and digital multimedia. And you know, much like the other programs, it has wonderful studio space in the Renaissance Palazzi, and that opportunity to really develop a program of study that's centered around the work that you want to make. In the non-residence portion of the program, you're still connecting with the faculty, and you have reviews each, you know, during that kind of September to end of April non-resident period where you're not residing in Florence. So it's a really, you're still really connected, and you're creating work through that whole time. So you know, during the 12 weeks, it's this really focused, intensive studio time, and then you're taking that to, you know, in your non-residence time to continue working on, you know, work and creating those goals for that work that you're going to make in the non-residence period. So, but also lots of field trip opportunities and travel opportunities to go all around Florence. And so, like I said, a brand new program that's just starting, and the program director is the same for our full-time MFA in Studio Art program. And so I'm kind of winding down the presentation here, and so I just want to mention a couple resources before I take questions. If you started to think of questions and you joined in a little late, you can start filling in your questions in the chat window that you'd find either in the mobile app of YouTube or in the desktop to the right of the video screen. But I just want to mention our website is really the main area where you'll be able to find things like the application process, things about courses, program descriptions, a breakdown of the curriculum for each program. So it's a really helpful space for getting that information. But I'd also encourage you to find us on social media because I think that can be a really those channels, things like Facebook and YouTube that you found here, Twitter, Instagram, you can really get a sense of what daily life is like at SACI and see videos and footage of special exhibitions in our galleries and really get an idea of what life is like. It's, I think, a really great thing. We also have an art blog that's saci-art.com where we post stories about our alumni and what they're doing, about some of those special events in more depth and detail. So I think that all of those kind of extra spaces are really good to kind of see, you know, the really exciting things that are going on at SACI and things that go on with our alumni. And that really ends the presentation. I want to mention again before I take questions that you'll find in the admissions page of the SACI website a full calendar of our events, both online. So we have the 2 online sessions, the next webinar, which will be with current students live from Florence in February, and then the session in March where I'll be answering the last kind of final application questions before the deadline, and then our in-person events all over the US, including Chicago this week, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Miami, and then our events in our New York office, our info sessions that you're welcome to join in on. So let me just see here if we have any questions. So it looks like so far we don't have any questions. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, and but feel free to ask questions. Also, if you don't think of your questions right now, you're also welcome to email us at admissions@saci-florence.edu, and someone from our admissions staff is always available to answer those questions for you. And as I just mentioned, I'd really encourage you to join us for the next webinar. I can share the time and date. Actually, it will be February 15th. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so a little switch up from this nighttime, if you're in the East Coast, at least nighttime session. And mostly because of the time difference and working with the schedule with our students in Florence. But I think it's going to be a really great opportunity. If you'll miss it at the 10 a.m. session, you can also catch the video afterwards and hear the questions that were asked. So I am particularly excited about that upcoming event. So I'm going to try to see if we still have don't have any questions. Okay. All right. So not seeing any questions, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right now. So thank you very much for joining this session. I hope it was really helpful for you. And like I said, if you have questions, you can email us at admissions@saci-florence.edu. Thanks. Have a good night.